Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Joanne Smedley, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Warrant Officer Jason Russ. We warmly welcome the family of Private Stanley Arthur Johnson, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in the singing of the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is earth by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place which could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Stanley Arthur Johnson. Stanley Johnson was born in January 1892 to Hannah and William Johnson of Newcastle, New South Wales. The family moved to Marrickville, a suburb of Sydney, when he was young. After leaving school, Johnson worked as a clerk and bookkeeper there. He married Imelda McGovern of Goulburn, and the couple had 3 children. Johnson enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in June 1916, joining the reinforcements of the 18th Australian Infantry Battalion. He embarked from Sydney on the transport ship Ascanius in October, arriving in England at the end of December. He trained in England for 6 months before sailing to France in July, where he joined the 18th Battalion at Bapaume. The battalion was engaged in training during the European summer months. The training aimed to prepare the troops for conditions they expected to face whilst fighting on the Western Front. The 18th Battalion undertook several forest fighting exercises in woods in the reserve areas. The soldiers heard a lecture on the effects of German gas shells and protective measures against them. There was also a time for leisure activities. The battalion diaries records instances when the men were able to go swimming, as well as their successful cricket season against the other battalions. In September, the battalion moved north to Stainford, near the Belgian border. There they prepared to join the major British offensive in Flanders. The battles that made up this offensive were known collectively as the Third Battle of Ypres. The 18th Battalion took part in the first of these, the Battle of Menin Road, on the 20th of September. The unit successfully captured and held their objectives, but at a high cost of over 200 casualties. In the days after the battle, Johnson and the men of the 18th Battalion were relieved and moved into billets near Ypres. They spent the rest of the month training for the next assault. At the Battle of Brutzendaire in early October, the 18th Battalion was in a reserve position, supporting the 2nd Division of the AIF. In this battle, the Australians again captured their objectives, but again at high costs. On the days without major battles, the attackers and defenders both carried out smaller scale raids on each other's trenches. It was during one such raid by German troops on the 8th of October 1917 that Johnson was badly wounded. He was taken to a casualty clearing station, but died that evening. He was 25. Stanley Johnson was buried at Lissenhoek Military Cemetery in Belgium, alongside nearly 10,000 other Commonwealth soldiers of the First World War. He was survived by his parents, brothers and sisters, as well as his wife Imelda and their 3 children, Phyllis, Arthur and Lawrence. Private Stanley Johnson is listed on the honour roll on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Stanley Arthur Johnson, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening.